What is up, guys? DZ here, and this past weekend I went to the Chicago UDS Invitational thing. Um, it's sort of like nationals because like you need points to get in, but it wasn't super big. I didn't do too great. I definitely did fine against everything except Blue Eyes. My inexperience playing against that deck really bit me in the ass here, just because reading through cards and sort of watching gameplay of a deck is way different than actually playing it in real life. And I pretty much punted the Blue Eyes decks I played against for my inexperience. Also, some side deck choices I made for that deck were definitely incorrect. But I'll get into that when we get into the side deck. But overall, this deck is really cool, and I think I'm going to play it going forward until some new stuff comes out that changes it up a bit. It's really powerful. It's kind of just a better version of what I played at ARG Detroit and got top 16 with last year. But we'll just kind of get into it. So, we're playing 3 of each of the Phantom Knights. So we're playing 3 Cloak, 3 Boots, and 3 Gloves. In this deck, this is your bread and butter. We're not playing any BA monsters. I just didn't really want to play PK Fire anymore. And I really want to play a deck that can make Omega, obviously. And while you could play the Zombie engine that I'll show you in a second in BA with Phantom Knights, it'd just be too much, I think. Too many conflicting engines. But yeah, the Phantom Knights are great. And there's lots of combos with like Allure and stuff. Allure is like really important for this deck. But yeah, so we're playing those 9. For the zombies, we're playing 3 Solitaire, 2 Unizombie, and 2 Mizuki. I think this is pretty standard. I don't think you really need to play any more of any of these. You really want to draw any of these top 5, and you don't really want to draw the Mizukis. But it's not that big a deal if you draw it. The only like frustrating thing is that like you can't banish Solitaire off of Allure. It would be a lot better if you could. There'd be like a ton more combos, but yeah, it's whatever. Drawing the Unizombie isn't even that bad. So yeah, as long as you draw like one in the top 5, you're usually pretty good there. We're also playing 3 Terratop and a Tekatomborg. I did not auto-top with Terratop, but Terratop's really good. I drew it a lot. I can't say I drew Tekatomborg that often, and it doesn't really matter when you draw them too much, just because you can make Levier and special them from your hand. But yeah. And then we also played Brilliant Fusion, because like a million combos with Brilliant Fusion in this deck. 2 Garnet, mainly because ideally you want to resolve all your search effects and all your effects that require cards, like Garnet in your deck, before you activate Pot of Desires. But sometimes you Desires, like you're forced to Desires, and then you draw a Brilliant Fusion, and I don't want to banish the only Garnet. And these are our only targets for the Brilliant Fusion, so if we were just playing like 1 Garnet, 1 Trick Clown, if we banish either one of them, it's a pretty high chance that you'll banish one of these when you Desires, or even 2 of them, but as long as you have 1 Garnet and 1 of the lights left in deck, you're good. So I wanted to play 4. That seemed to work out just fine. I drew Garnet not super often, but that's going to happen when you play 2, and there's a lot of draw power in this deck, so it's just whatever. I would just play 2 Fairy Tale Snow, except Trick Clown is just better first turn when you don't have any resources engraved, so that's why I have to play the 1 Trick Clown. Fairy Tale Snow is like ridiculous, so there were a lot of people playing her at the event. As far as the monsters go, one of the things that probably screwed me up with this event, besides the Blue Eyes thing, is that I actually haven't played with Phantom Knights in couple months, and while I do know like all the Brilliant Fusion and Zombie combos, as well as some of the ones like the Wamo combo that I showed, I think 2 videos ago, just the basic Phantom Knight boards that I can make, I screwed up on them a lot of times, so hopefully going forward that's not going to happen. Like I said, I think this deck's good. All of my losses were like completely my fault for just being stupid, so it's whatever. Anyway, for the draw power, 3 Desires, as well as 3 Allure. Yeah, these cards are great. Allure is especially good just because it's kind of like a better Gold Sark. I was playing Gold Sark originally because you can like banish Solitaire and then special make Levier and then special it, which is pretty cool. But in a lot of cases, the banishing off of Allure was like super helpful. We're playing different Dimension Reincarnation, so that was always like a combo. But yeah, both these cards are just fantastic. With Desires, there's not really anything that you care about banishing. And like I said, you're trying to desires like after you make your place. You're trying to desires like after you add the takedown board to your hand, or after you resolve the Brilliant Fusion, or after you resolve the Solitaire. I I can't say I had any. Probably the only like bad desires I had was one where I opened like 2 cloak and a gloves, and then I desired into a second gloves and the third cloak. But that wasn't really. That didn't have to do with like what I banished. That was just like a bad desires. But that's gonna happen. I'm trying to think as far as banishing. There was one time when I banished 3 anti-spell fragrance off of 1 desires. That was kind of salty. But I mean that's gonna happen. It's really unlikely. But yeah, both these cards are just like insane. So yeah. Anyway, we're also playing through Brilliant Fusion, obviously. I don't think I ever dead drew a Brilliant. I know math might say that it's likely that you're gonna draw one of these dead when you're playing like desires and stuff. I don't know. The only time that I was like close to dead drawing off of this was when I opened a Garnet and a Brilliant, and I maxed seed a guy and drew to 22 cards in hand, but somehow I didn't draw the next Garnet. That was a pretty crazy match actually. But yeah, Brilliant Fusion, pretty cool. 2 DDR. This card is incredible. I think it solves a lot of the issues with this deck. It makes pretty much every hand it's in better. The only reason I wasn't playing 3, and I still might bump it up to 3, but the only reason I wasn't for this event is that if you open like multiples of this card, it's just really bad. But I think it's actually just good enough to where it doesn't matter. It acts sort of as a Brilliant Fusion in a lot of cases. And a lot of times when I was playing, this was like the card I was digging for with Allure or Desires, so I think I should probably bump it up. Because sometimes you banish it, or mill it, or whatever. 2 Twin-Disters, didn't know how prevalent back row is going to be. I guess this card was okay. I'm trying to think, yeah, it's not very good against Blue Eyes, obviously. It's okay against Pendulums. Usually they just have other plays. And any Pendulum variant playing Sky Iris isn't that great against. Weren't a lot of Demise decks. Yeah, I guess I was happy to have this against Cosmos game 1, but I don't know. We'll see. I know with like ABC coming out and like DDDs, Twin Disters is pretty good against those, so I guess I'll keep it in. For the one-ofs, Rhoda, Foolish, Soul Charge. Pretty standard there. No craziness. I didn't play a Regeki. I was going to side it, but I just never really liked it. So just those 3. The trap lineup was pretty straightforward. Just 3 Strike and 3 Fogblade. I was playing a Wing for a little bit, and I was even playing a Wing in PK Fire. But I just never found the need to search it ever in my entire life, so I just cut it. But yeah, Strike was really good. Strikes is better than Warning because it costs less life points and does the same thing, and it can stop like monster effects and shit. So like, I thought it was worth playing instead of Warning. I was gonna side Warning, but I decided not to. So yeah, that was it for the main deck. It's 46 cards, but you can really look at it like you could just play with 40 without like the desires or the allure, and they give you kind of the same deal. But I just like that it cycles through your hands, so it's kind of like playing a 40 deck, but it's whatever. And it helps with like Fairy Tale Snow as targets. I got a lot of use out of it. Anyway, for the extra deck, 3 Leviair. Yeah, I know this super is really ugly, just because no one had any ultis. But anyway, yeah, I was gonna play 2 when I went to the event. That's why they're like weird looking. But I definitely made 3 a ton of times. Dante is really not important in this deck. I rarely made him. Leviair is the one that you want to make all the time just to push damage on the board. We're also playing 3 Break Sword. I was going to cut this to 2 because I was siding a Blue Eye Spear Dragon for cherries, but and I was thinking like, do I have like more side deck space or do I have more extra deck space? So I ended up cutting the Warning in the side deck to make the Spirit Dragon fit. Otherwise I was gonna cut the Break Sword, but I literally would have lost like 2 games if I didn't play 3 Break Sword. I made it a lot, so I'm glad I played 3. Just 2 Dante. You almost never make him. There's just not a lot to mill in this deck. When you think about when you're making Dante, you already have like 2 Phantom Knights usually. So if you already have 2 Phantom Knights, you don't really have anything else to mill because they can get you to all of them. And we're not playing like a bunch of different Phantom Knight trap cards to mill. That's like what I used to go for Dante, is to mill like the trap cards and stuff. And Leviair like usually gets you to your combo pieces. Break Sword can like actually like pop things. So Dante's like only was good like when I needed a monster with 2,500 attack points. Yeah, he was like okay. Or if you're like going first and like you actually have no other plays, like Dante I guess is better than nothing. For the rank 4s, we played Dweller, Castell, and Seed Rebellion Dragon. These cards were all great. Went into them all multiple times. Pretty cool. And then just one F-Zero. Made that a couple times. Yeah, just a good card overall. That's it for the Seed monsters. We're also looking at 2 Omega for the Synchros and a Gemknight Seraphonite. Never needed a 3rd Omega. Not at all. The one card I was missing, though, for sure, was a Scarlight. That card came up a lot of times because, like, Omega doesn't really... A lot of times my opponent would just have a board that's, like, way too big. And, like, sometimes you can, like, break sword through it. It just takes a lot of resources. But there were multiple times when I just wanted, like, to summon a Scarlight. Or even, like, I don't think Red Dragon Archene is nearly as good. But just something that, like, destroys a lot of monsters. And Scarlight does, like, damage and stuff. I don't know what I'd cut because I honestly did use all of these cards. I'd probably just have to be, like, something... I have no idea. I actually have no idea what I would cut for a Scarlight, but I think I need it because there were a lot of times where I lost or it was a lot harder to win because I didn't have it. So that was definitely a change I'll try to make going forward. The side deck, 2 Max C, because that 2 Ghost Reaper and 2 Cycle Readers. These are like hand traps. Ghost Reaper, the best Ghost Reaper I had was against that Dark Synchro guy that made me draw to 22 with Max C. My Ghost Reaper had his Omegas, so he like didn't have a win condition, so that kind of sucked for him. Yeah, that was like the big thing. I also like sided it for the Spirit Dragon, because like conceptually, so this is where like the Blue Eyes inexperience came into play. But conceptually, I was like, the scariest card that Blue Eyes makes is Spirit Dragon. It's like I want to like side cherry so like they don't kill me with this because like this is just like so good against my deck. But what kept happening is that like there was one game where I drew like two Cycle Reader, 1 Max C, and 1 Reaper, and like my opponent just like never made this card, like never. So like I just like had to end up setting this to not die because like I drew too many hand traps, and that's just like a problem with oversiding. Maybe not necessarily the card. I'd still play this card. I just wouldn't play Spirit anymore. I don't think it's worth it. They have so many other plays it doesn't even matter. Cycle Reader's really good though. Definitely glad I played him over GD Crow because you need to banish like 2 a lot of times. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I also played 2 Gamma Seal. I don't have any Kumongous, so I couldn't play that one. I don't think it really mattered that I played Gamma Seal. Usually, you can just kill it when you give it to your opponent. I know you don't want to give it to your opponent and then pass because then they can just make a rank 8 with it. But usually you can just kill them through it, so it's whatever. And then that one's easiest to tack over with my guys, too. So that's kind of nice. I also played 2 System Down and a Twin Twister. System Down was pretty bad. I was able to pretty easily beat Cosmos without it, so I think I'll just cut these for... honestly, I'll probably cut these for Swords of Concealing Light. Yeah, that was like a lot of times when I was playing against Blue Eyes, I don't think his hand traps really did anything. I mean, Maxi's pretty good and Cycle Reader's pretty good, but like there were like a lot of instances where like I like looked at their board and like my hand, and I just like realized that like if I had Swords of Concealing Light, like I would have been able to play through it and probably beat them just because that's such a good counter to their field, really. He just totally throws them off. So I really wish I played that card. Probably instantly cutting the System Downs for it, and then 3rd Twin Twisters just for like back row stuff. And then lastly, just 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Pendulums were like huge at this event. Yeah, it's pretty good going first, obviously. It's not so good going second. Sometimes it's good going second, though, if you can like lock them with 1 scale. But usually, I just kept them in going first. It's really whatever. What's cool about this deck is that you actually have so much deck thinning and draw power that you see your side deck cards pretty often when you go first, at least. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, this deck's a lot of fun, like I said. It is actually pretty good, too. Hopefully I'll be working on my own playing going forward so I can hopefully like top something with this. But I just want to kind of give you guys a rundown of what happened at the UDS, and hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.